Okay, now let's go ahead. I want you to look at this screen right here. I want to talk about reflections real quick. So I'm literally going to copy and paste one of the problems that we did on Friday into Desmos. Okay, and I'm going to change one small thing up. Okay, so this is how the problem currently looks. Let me change this to degrees. X-axis, make it negative 360. Okay, and make this positive 360. Make this 0.5 instead of 1/2. Let's see if that makes a difference. I don't know why the graph is not popping up. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's change it back to 1/2 then. Okay, so that's your graph right there. Okay, now I'm just to make things visually easier while I teach you reflections, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to change this to a square root function. Okay, I'm going to change that to a square root function. So here's how the square root function, a parent square root function. Okay, remember the parent is like the original function. Looks like that. Okay, so the red is the original, the blue is after transformation. Okay, so I want to reiterate that you can use these transformations, the bullet points that we did last week, which look like this. These bullet points that we did, they work for any type of function, whether it's parabolas, which is x squared, x cubed, x to the power 4, rationals, which is, rationals, which is like 1 over x, basically a polynomial written in fraction form. Okay, they work for any function. You want log functions, absolute value functions. The cool thing about this lesson is that once I teach you it one way, you can use it to apply it to many other ways. Okay. Now, okay, let's talk about reflections. All right. Let's just look at the red. Okay, let me just save the blue right here. Watch this. I'm going to reflect this, or let me just shut up and just have you guys look. I'm going to put a minus sign here. Okay. I'm going to put a minus sign next to the x. That's what I just did. Now I'm going to put a minus sign next to the y. Okay. I'm going to put a minus sign next to the y. So if you put a minus sign, okay, next to the x, it reflects it over the y-axis. Okay, remember we have our opposite hats on. A minus sign next to the x means reflection over the y. Okay. Conversely, a minus sign next to the y means a reflection over the x-axis. Okay? All right. So let's bring back our transform function, and the same thing applies. Okay, I'm going to put a minus sign here. Okay. All right. So the same deal, you can think of it like this. Okay, when you get to these problems, okay, I want you to do it in this order right here. Hold on. Okay, let's say I were to give you a problem. I'm going to modify number 3. And let's say I put a minus sign here. Okay. That would mean a reflection over, let me put this in red. Okay. A reflection reflection over the y-axis. Okay, let's pretend I put a minus sign right here. Reflection over the x-axis. Okay. Actually, let me do it two different colors. I'll put that in blue. I'll put this in blue just so you can see which minus sign affects what. Okay. And when you do these, folks, okay, when you do these, what I want you to do is start with x's. So you start on, when you write these out, and I went over this on Friday, start with the x side and then do the y side. Okay. Now, each time, let's say we're focusing on the x side, start with the reflections, then do translations, okay, and then stretch compressions. Do it in that order. Okay, reflections, translations, and stretch compressions. Or if you want a simpler rule, okay, but it might require some thinking, okay, which is really easy thinking at a honors pre-calc level, is do reflections and then follow PEMDAS rules. So the reflection is this minus sign, and then PEMDAS says do the parentheses, which happens to be translations. Okay, and then after that, okay, so that's translations. And then after that, PEMDAS says multiply by the 2/3, which means stretch compressions. Okay. Now, that's basically the first part of today's lesson. I'm actually going to dive into the second part of today's lesson because it's just continuing this. And if you have to rewatch it later on, okay, that's totally fine. I'll put the video on YouTube on Google Classroom as usual. Now, let's go ahead and look right here. Now, number 3. Okay. A lot of times they're going to give you the problem that looks like this. So what you see for number 3, I'm going to just rearrange stuff. Okay. Oftentimes, they're going to give you number 3 not looking like this. They're going to give it to you looking like this. Okay. Which is fine. Okay, because they're just basically trying to confuse you. So what you do is move these two parts over to the left. Okay, so you get that. Okay. All right. So the way we move it over. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is add 23.4 to both sides. Okay, add. All right, so this cancels. All right. And then after that, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 5/4 negative to both sides. And then what you're going to get is negative 5/4 and then y plus 23/4 equals to basically the original problem that I gave you on Friday. Okay? So basically, I just move stuff around to make this problem, okay, look like the original problem from Friday. That's it. Okay? And then now you just wear your opposite hats and do the problem as usual. Okay? And remember, the reflection here is on the x side, so it's reflection over y-axis. The reflection here is on the minus sign is on the y side, so it's reflection over x-axis because of our opposite hats. Okay, I'm going to give you two problems that look like this yellow highlight with reflections, and then I'm going to give you two problems that look like this yellow highlight with reflections. Okay,